I'm sorry for the heater, but it's 25 degrees outside and I refuse. Fine, I'll turn it down. It's so cold, you guys. It's so cold. It's not even really that cold. I mean, 25 Fahrenheit is cold. Don't get me wrong. I'm feeling the effects. But like last winter, we were getting like negative 40. I'm like, I can't. Maybe it was negative 20. But like it being 40 degrees colder than I can't actually process that, because like my house is getting cold. Everything is so cold everywhere, but I'm not going to talk about that because you're here for writing updates. Oh, hi. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the video. I'm Melissa. I write books. I haven't even talked to you yet today, which just seems so crazy because I feel like I kind of look like one of those dogs that has like a cone. I'll accept it. It's because the collar's going up. If I could flip the collar down, it's still giving dog cone. But I went to the coffee shop this morning, had major good writing going on. Not that any of this is actually, okay, whatever, it is writing. I am just making a checklist for my revision. If you're new, I do recommend going back and watching, at least starting with the getting my edit letter video, because since that last Monday, I did a reread of the book, and then I've started making my checklist as of yesterday. And I got through today chapter 20. Like I did, I think chapter 6 through chapter 20 in about an hour and a half. It went really well. That was like the problem child of the book for the most part. The ending also kind of a problem child, but the beginning was fine. And then I got through all of that mess of Act 2 Part 1 that I was talking about, where like the most major changes are happening in terms of like a new scene and new things to introduce and kind of just solidifying and clarifying what we know, what we feel at certain points. But I think the rest will go pretty quick. Cause I mean, chapter 15, I had to like plot out what the whole new scene was going to be. And I don't think I'll have to do that again. So, I feel like I have a good handle on it. I had some good revelations about some things I can add on to even like the second chapter that will just, they're not huge changes, but they will help like with the framing of some scenes. Do you know when you have some scenes that are like objectively fine? They're objectively good. Like they accomplish things, they're dynamic, they're fine, they're a little wordy, but whatever. But like there's something about it where it's like this, there's like a level to this, like this scene could be something more, and it's just hard to tell like what it is. And then you discover something or add something earlier on that like gives that scene a new framework or a new motivation or something new they can talk about, and it elevates it. I don't know if that's really how it's gonna go, but that's how I'm kind of feeling about this change, or this, no, it's not even a change. It's so funny. It's actually something I had early on, like early drafts. I mean, I feel like I could tell this is not super spoilery. It's hard to tell you even anything at this point because I don't want to spoil the book. Because we're so late, we're so deep in. But my main character is a detective, right? And she has this whole arc in the book where, like, she has this, like, kind of a past of not being very trustworthy in her job, sort of. Like, that's sort of something we learn about her early on, is that she's very sensitive about being trusted and she wants to be trusted more and all this stuff. And I had a groundwork for that. And in earlier drafts, I went a lot deeper into, like, why that is, and, like, but I was doing it kind of sporadically. Like, it wasn't really cohesive. And so something Christina mentioned and that I'm going to add in is, like, having a specific, like, memory or incident or something that we can date this all back to, because right now it's very general. It's very like, this has happened in the past before, so I used to do things like this, and it's like, let's be specific. So now I'm having it where, and you learn this in the second chapter, is that like right before the book started, she had some sort of incident where it made her less trust, like she was too emotionally involved in a case or something along those lines. I can't give you more detail than that. And that's why there's this kind of like apprehension about her, which it's not a huge change really. It just gives all of these vague conversations that she's having with the captain and her partner about like, I know you say you feel like you can't trust me, but like this would give it actual framework to be like, oh, remember this specific incident that happened that means, you know, like threading it in more specifically. It's not a change, it's just making it more specific. And that's what a lot of this is too. It's just making the descriptions, the feelings more specific, what they talk about, like what she's physically investigating and like the information that she's getting, like just more specific. Kind of figured that out, which was good. And I think that will actually really help with a lot of things. And I have this letter element, or like this sort of letter multimedia sort of element that I'm threading in. I feel like I always end up doing this. Like in a later draft, like add in some sort of like letters or like investigation notes or something later on. It's going good. I felt like it was actually pretty easy to write down all of her notes. I forgot to bring my printed copy, but I think I remembered most of the things I had in my notes. But I'll just go back through and like look through my notes and see if I need to add anything. But I'm feeling good about that. Now we're kind of into less problem child chapters where there might be actually more notes from Christina in those, but they're more like, because of the changes I will make to chapter 15, like this is the section where it started to kind of climb back toward the midpoint. So I'm still in Act 2 Part 1 technically, but we're pretty close to the midpoint now. I was just starting to get a little bit of like, I just needed to stop because I was going, like it felt like I was, like even though the notes were difficult and the comments were kind of hard to digest, I didn't feel like this like, oh, drain hopelessness at all doing the edits, and I started to get that way a little bit, and I was like, okay, I just need to take a break and come back, because actually making this checklist is making me a lot more, not optimistic, but like excited about the work, you know, rather than like afraid of all the comments. And so when I started to feel like, oh, I'm getting apprehensive about these comments, it's just when I had looked at too many of them and I was at a stopping point. So I think I could do, the next time I sit down, I hope to do this all today, but when I get back from the pool, because I'm at the pool right now, I'm going to do Act 2, like from where we are, hopefully through the resolution of the midpoint, which is about halfway through Act 2 Part 2, and then have another session later where I go through, it's basically right before the Dark Night of the Soul. What is that? Bad Guys Close In? But isn't that, I don't know. It's right before the Dark Night of the Soul that I'm going to stop. Because essentially Act 2 Part 2 is like resolution from the midpoint, and then the lead into the Dark Knight, and so I'm just gonna split, like stop there and then go from the Dark Knight to the end, or like the lead up to the Dark, like it doesn't need to make sense to you, it makes sense to me. So that's how it's going. Yesterday I did need, I don't know, some processing time almost to kind of sort through and sift through. It's almost been a week since I've gotten the gist of the feedback, but it's like I was saying yesterday, of like today I sat down and it was not so like jarring and nerve-wracking anymore. It was just like, oh, this is what the book needs, and here's how I can do it. And I felt so much more capable of achieving it. Like the longer that I sit with the feedback, the more capable I feel to address it. And like the things I was putting in were not even really direct suggestions from her. So I do need to, like, after I make all these this checklist, look at it and be like, okay, are all these changes really necessary, or am I just changing things to change things? But they all do address an issue or like something that either I noticed or she did. And so I don't know, I'm getting excited to actually do it. One might say. I think like chapters 1 through 6 I can do very quickly. Well, maybe not, because now I'm adding that thing. But like from the notes that she have, like the first 25% of the book is mostly line level stuff, and then it'll slow down. So like when I start doing these edits, hopefully tomorrow, you might be like, oh my gosh, Alyssa did like 3 chapters in one day. Like this is crazy. She's gonna go so fast. No, the beginning is the cleanest and needs the least amount of changes and overhaul and everything. So I think it's like progressively gonna get more work for each chapter, and then there'll be a chunk in the middle that's fine, and then the ending will just be a lot of fun. But again, I'm not making a timeline. I might start to make like micro goals after I see like how much time did it take to do this sort of chapter, and then I will have a better idea. But honestly, even the line level chapters might take a full day, because I just really want to take care to like really do it well, you know, and to like have all my characters feeling the right things. I even feel like I might pull a Brielle and like, once I get a certain way, and like go back to the beginning and read through to get flow, and like read through to make sure everything's good and all that stuff. So that's how it's going. I'm gonna go to the pool now, and then hopefully I should be up and running again around 1, and then I could probably write from 1 to 2, And then I'll edit this video, and then I'll go on a walk, and then I'll probably have another writing session. And then I have church tonight. So we'll see, actually, if I have time to get through. No, that's 2 more writing sessions. That's all I would really need. TBD. Well, you'll find out. Stay tuned. I'm gonna go on a walk. That's all that this clip is to say. I'm going on a walk. I got through Act 2 Part 2. Actually, the midpoint in Act 2 Part 2 have very few comments so far. Again, I think the bulk of the work is in Act 2 Part 1 and the ending. But the things that I'm fixing about the ending are fixed in Act 2 Part 1, you know? So I'm just, a lot of Act 2 Part 2 is just looking at the chapter and seeing like, okay, do any of the comments or changes that I made in Act 2 Part 1 thread in here? Like, how do I make it consistent? But yeah, I'm gonna go on a quick walk. I think a half an hour one maybe. I'll take you with me this time because I keep going on walks and it keeps being so beautiful, and then I keep being like, why didn't I bring my camera on this walk? And then I was like, maybe that's good. Maybe I shouldn't be bringing a camera everywhere I go. But also, I'm gonna take you with me. I fear it's really cold, so I'm gonna wear leggings underneath my sweatpants. It's only November though. What am I gonna do when it gets really cold? I don't know, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time to finish the checklist tonight, but I really want to. So I'm thinking, because I go to church at 5, and I'll be gone till about 7:30. So, but right now it's like 3:30, maybe 3:40, and so I'm gonna go on a quick walk, hopefully get back here by 4:30, but then I need to eat before I go. But then I'm like, there'll be maybe half an hour I could do a little bit, but I also need to finish up the video that goes up tomorrow. I'm almost done with it. I just need to do like a quick scrub through to make sure there's no weird cuts or anything. There probably is going to be weird cuts. I mean, I think you guys have just accepted there's going to be some weird cuts in the daily videos in the month of November. Like, come on. Just to make sure like all the transitions flow and add in the little intro and everything and do the thumbnail and just upload it. So that'll probably take like 20 minutes. So that's what's going on. And then when I come back, I will potentially have some time. So I don't think it'll take more than half an hour to finish out like Act 3. Because yeah, there's a significant amount of changes, but a lot of them happened earlier. Like they're changes for Act 3, but they go into effect in Act 2 Part 1. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go on a walk.
Traveling on by locomotive, turning of the century. See their fine clothes, soot is turning, satin's black as the night can be. But there's a new line, the Lackawanna, the cold as green as a mountain spring. Through the forest and over water, Northern Railway beauty sings. Didn't you know that Miss Phoebe Stone, her dress stays white both day and night upon the road of anthracite? Tip your cap and pay winding ever higher. Breathe that New York mountain air. And in the next car,
Okay, I think I've made it to the end of the checklist, or the end of what I'm going to make of the checklist. So this tripod is rebelling, but I keep getting to Act 3 and I just keep feeling like I need to not look at Act 3. Like, I know what the changes are in Act 3 to the extent that I know what I need to fix in the earlier parts of the book, but a lot of the Act 3 is very like internal scene flow things or feelings things. Like, it's not as big of content changes. It's a lot of like internal reality, you know? And I feel like I have a grasp on what the ending is. And so I think when I get to that point, then I'll make a more in-depth checklist. Because I think also at that point, I'll have actually made the changes in the first 3/4 of the book. So then I'll know specifically like what changes. Because I think most of the changes in Act 3 will be like based on the changes I make to the beginning. And so I won't really know what those are supposed to be. But yeah, I did reach the end of my checklist, sort of. It becomes less in depth as it goes, but I think I'm just going to keep adding things to the checklist as I'm like making revisions to the beginning. I'll be like, oh, I need to add that to the end. You know, I'll just like make the checklist as I go, but I definitely have enough to get started, which is cool. I'm afraid to start. But you know, I think I can't decide because I need to write some letters and I think I'm going to write them as I go. Like, I have it put in the document, like basically where the letters get to it by the midpoint, you know, vibes. And I have them in like, which letter before this chapter, letter before this. So I'm going to write them as I get to them, I think. Part of me wants to, on my checklist, my order of operations checklist, I have that I want to solidify the investigation timeline first. Instead of making a timeline, I'm just gonna like keep track as I'm going through the edit of like what do we know at certain points and like write it out as like I think that's what I'll do is like each new piece of information that we get about the investigation I'll put in a document and then I see if I can read it and be like, does this make sense, you know? But yeah, we did reach the end of the checklist. Thank you so much for being here. It is long. It is a long checklist. I'm feeling a little intimidated, but I'm also excited to get going. Tomorrow I'm going to start with chapter 1. Chapter 1 has very limited notes. Like, there's not very much in there at all, but every chapter though has some line level stuff. So I'm excited to get going. I'll see you tomorrow. Comment down below a check mark emoji, a green check mark, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
opening, closing.